Hello, good afternoon, morning, or night. Uh, this is Andres Delgado Perez, and my partner's name is Pablo Peon. And we're going to talk about Casa Cana, our Casa Cana proposal, and how we managed to create it. Well, we first started with getting to know the company, and I'm going to briefly introduce you to them. It's Casa Cana is a family company dedicated to the architecture and landscape design floral arrangements. Their mission is to improve the architectural concept by using plants and landscaping on it. Their vision, on the other hand, is to implement the creation of an environment to nature. And they belong to the nursery, garden, and landscaping sector. Just a little brief explanation. Well, they have three main products, or at least those are the ones that we identify as their main products, which is the African violets, orchids, and succulent plants. Well, not moving forward to the financial sector, which is our topic, we can say that in this chart we can see their prices and everything from which they create their plants, and we identify them by variable, if it's fixed or is variable. It was something easy and also kind of given by yourself, teachers. And well, in this sector, we create the CCC, or another name, aka cash conversion cycle. We analyze all the prices in the balance sheet and everything in order to create the inventory conversion period, the average collection period, and payable deferral period. All of this was based on this chart. Our our conclusion in this part is that it gave us a total of 42 days. I don't know if it's wrong or right. That's our assumptions, and that's what we create. And well, that's it. Then, in the investment and financing part, which is basically something before we give you our proposal, is that for us, Casa Cana has two options: to borrow money from investors and return in interests, or capital stock. The first one is basically like an investment. You use the money of someone to create something, and in return you give them the money with interest. It's a win-win business, and we believe that's something that Casa Cana could use. And capital stock, it's something a little bit different. It's about shareholders and dividends, which is something that also Casa Cana can use in order to grow as a company, in order to have more money, and yeah, to grow. That's our goal. Mm. And well, having analyzed the financial information that I just mentioned, we could conclude that the best option for Casa Cana was Banamex. This is the bank that gave them the best interests and the best commissions, guarantees, terms, payment conditions, etc. And that's why we believe that if they follow one of our proposals, they could end with something better, with a much bigger business, and yeah, a more popular one. So my partner Pablo is going to explain the next part.
Taking into consideration all the information that my partner previously mentioned, what is our proposal for Casa Cana? First of all, we don't believe that it's necessary for them to look for investments or for anything like that, because as we could see from their financial statements, they actually have quite good numbers. They have around 50,000 pesos worth of net income, so that's pretty good. So our proposal is for them to reduce the amount of African violets produced every month. And our second proposal would be for them to add a recycling system. So for the first proposal, we're going to look at the marginal analysis of actually reducing the amount of violets. So every month they produce around 4,000 violets, meaning that if you sum the 3 months up, you have 12,000 violets. And once looking at their statements, we could see that they sold around 7,500 violets. If you actually do the math, you find out that they have 4,561 African violets to spare. That is more than a month's worth of production that they're not using, they're not selling, they're just losing money off of this. So when we look at the numbers, we can actually tell that they would have a profit of 22,177.67 cents. That's pretty good. That actually represents a 29.2% increase in profit as compared to the sales of the 3 months that we observed in the financial statements. So looking at it right here in the scenario analysis, we only included the 20% because it was what it was required in their case, but actually we don't believe that they would have a 20% increase in sales. We think that optimistically speaking, it would only be 10%, very optimistically, given that there is a very complicated economic situation due to the coronavirus. So looking at it here in the scenario analysis, we can see that the net profit actually increases quite a lot. Even the pessimistic point of view, which is actually a reduction of sales for 10%, their net profit actually still increases as compared to when they wouldn't implement our proposal. If they keep producing violets at the same rate, they're going to be losing money. Now, for our second proposal, it was to add the recycling system. So basically, this is to introduce a more efficient and sustainable system regarding the material that they use for production. This means that they should recycle all the elements that they use to produce these plants and these flowers in order to reduce costs. This is actually quite simple because this is an industry that allows this. If we were talking about pharmaceuticals, for example, or the more technological industry, they can't reduce materials as much. They can't recycle materials as much. But considering that this is the gardening industry, it's actually quite doable. So it's not that complicated. Also, if they were to use a lot of marketing and they could sell a new image for the company that they are a sustainable and green company, which would possibly improve and make their sales grow. And also it helps the environment, which is a very important factor nowadays. So basically, what we think is Casa Cana should definitely reduce the amount of African violets that they produce. They're losing money from this, and to actually implement our proposal, they wouldn't really have to change any of their tactics. They would not have to change their infrastructure. They wouldn't even have to invest on anything. All they would have to do is reduce the amount of violets produced. This actually not only reduces the cost of the violets themselves, it reduces the cost of labor in some cases. It could reduce the amount of raw materials. A lot of things could be reduced by this. So this is very good. And also, it's only making their production more efficient. They can also implement other things like what we said, adding a more sustainable production and also improving their image. And finally, we recommend for Casa Cana to improve their financial statements because there are a lot of inconsistencies and a lot of strange numbers that are not very beneficial for them. If they wanted to look for investment in a bank or in a financial institution, they would probably get rejected because their financial statements are not very well made. Also, not even that. Even if they don't want an investment, they might be losing money, but they can't tell because their financial statements are not very well implemented. Thank you.